So here's a question for you. Is this progress or is this just pressure? It turns out 4 in 5 mums in Victoria are working. For perspective, 77% of mothers in Victoria who have children under the age of 15 are working. That's up from 62% just 10 years ago. In Queensland, it's actually worse. 84.3% of mums with kids under 15 are going to work either full-time or on a part-time basis. I was curious at comments from the Gender Equality Victoria organisation, who said this is great progress. They seem to think this is a wonderful thing, although the system, their words, not mine, still says that women should carry the bulk of caring responsibilities. Now, I noticed that we're 3 males on the panel, so I want to be a little careful
nice
what we say about this.
Come on, James.
But, that means we won't have anyone interrupting to say wrong stuff.
Is it really progress that mums are at the office or at the factory or in the corporate world rather than home with the kids? Is that progress or is that bad for families and bad for kids? I can't speak as a woman, but I can speak as a son. You really value the input of your mum, especially in your formative younger years, much more so than your dad. And I love my dad, but kids want their mums.
I think it's, well, it is certainly down to the economics. There's no other answer to it, right? I think there are very few women who, if you ask them, if you had the choice, if money was no object, would you rather spend more time at home with your kids in their formative years or go to work and send them to childcare? 9 out of 10, I am sure, would say, I'd rather spend the time at home. But the economic imperatives as they are now simply mean that it is not possible. And I've written and spoken extensively about this. But, you know, my parents, I'm a young man. When I was growing up in the early 2000s, Mum worked part-time on Thursday nights and on Saturdays, and my father is a council gardener on a pretty low but average wage, shall we say, and that was more than sufficient to raise 2 kids and pay a mortgage, right? You just can't do that anymore. Like, there is no one having kids today, unless they're earning really good coin, who can afford to have a parent, mum or dad, at home. So women have to go to work in order to support the family. And then we go, yay, that's gender equality. You know, the idea that you can have it all, you can't have it all. Not only women, all of us have been duped, I think, in the sale of that message. And I think it's worse than that. It was never really about gender equality, the idea that women could go to work if they want to. The idea was that everyone should be a good little worker bee and everyone should be generating tax for the government, and so we must get women to go to work. I mean, even women who are stay-at-home mums now almost feel this sort of pressure and shame about the fact that they're stay-at-home mums, because you should be going and having a job and having your own career and advancing yourself in that way. It's somehow lesser if you stay at home and look after your children. But I reckon deep down most women wish they could do it and they just can't.
Yeah, I think it's more meeting in the middle. So I think previously there has been that thing where, you know, Dad just came home at 6 o'clock at night and, you know, put his feet up and read the newspaper and said hi to the kids and maybe kissed them goodnight. And I'm very glad that I'm doing much more with my kids than, you know, a generation even ago, or certainly more than my dad did with me. But let's not get into my personal psychological trauma. But I think the question is simply, you know, are you working more or harder than you want to because you have no choice, because the cost of living crisis is just too much? And I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that that is true. My wife and I are obviously very well off compared to other families, and even I just fret about, you know, the next job falling over or the next, you know, bill coming in, you know, the house falling down, you know, and my wife is working like crazy full time and should probably rather not work as many days as she is, but she is very dedicated and hard worker. But she also, you know, knows that, you know, if she doesn't do that, that is, you know, we're going to struggle to sort of break even each month. So.
And it's interesting you raised she'd probably rather not work as many days. This data that the Herald Sun went through also found that in the last 20 years, the number of Victorian women who are working 5 days a week, so full-time essentially, has doubled So you've had this increase from 65 to 77% in terms of women who are working at all, but the number who are working 5 days a week has doubled, and I think that's the difference. A lot of women like my mum probably used to work part-time just to bring in a bit of extra income, and it's now become you can't work part-time anymore. You have to be at work all the time simply to sustain the family.
Yeah, it's 40% of mums are now working full-time. But then it is Victoria. A lot of 6 and 8-year-olds are out trying to get jobs as well to be able to pay the mortgage.
You know what mothers should be doing? They should be quitting their jobs and becoming Instagram influencers so that they can post ridiculous stuff on Instagram and TikTok and then get shamed by the vast multitude.
I can't believe you haven't done it already, Joe.
I know. Well, I just thought of it then.